Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us on this wonderful, well, it is so far a wonderful day in the UK, or at least in London. And glad to see that this is one of Julie's favorite lunch times. I've got Daniel Petrocchi today from Jobin to tell us a little bit about, how we can save time by automating some functions. But as this is our lunchtime, maybe you guys can tell us what you're having for lunch. I will obviously have it after this. But how about you, Daniel? Are you doing anything for lunch, or did you have it already as you're an hour ahead of us?
Yeah, I already had lunch. It was spaghetti, and
Oh, very,
the
very
usual Italian
Italian.
pasta. Yeah,
No secondi then?
no secondi, no.
No.
Kept it light for today.
Yeah. I like to do that as well. So I made a Thai curry, but I'll have to eat it later. And then I'm heading into London later on today to watch the game with a few friends. So around London Bridge. So that should be good fun.
Yeah.
Well, it'd be really good if we play Italy in the final, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, it's Italy, England. That's gonna be fun.
Yeah, exactly. So really looking forward to that. So
yeah.
Hi, Gabriella. Daniel, I guess we'll start. You're going to tell us a little bit about how we can use, tools and stuff. But maybe for people who don't know you, which I hope most of us don't know, you can tell us a bit about yourself and how you came up with Jobin and so on.
So that's it. Okay, I'm Daniel Petrocchi, and founder and CEO of Jobin Cloud. We're a recruitment company for finding the best candidates and potential clients. So we mainly focus on sourcing and outreach. That's the main part. So about me, I've always been that kind of person that loved inventing, creating things. And when I was a child, I already started building robots, building applications, games, and things. So then my first website, online website, it's an Italian website, and it was at 16. So that's how it all started. Then my parents had they quit their jobs to start a recruitment agency, and that's how I started to learn about what recruitment is and really dig deep into it, because it's starting out as a new agency. We had many problems and difficulties. So I felt the difficulties that many of small startup agencies have, and we were using the usual ATS, the ones, the old school kind, and the problems that I was having myself, such as putting the candidates into this ATS and manually cut and pasting emails from the summary or contact details. That is, I think many people do these days. It's from LinkedIn. And then messaging, the enormous amount of time used for cutting and pasting the same template all over, because you don't know these people. You usually you read their profiles, you screen them, and what you usually do is you have your already set up template that you're not really going to change every time. So I was seeing that these tasks, these very repetitive tasks, could have been perfectly automated, and that's where I, with a technical background, started thinking, hey, I don't want to waste my time doing these mundane tasks, and started telling my parents, no, listen, I'll start building this tool that will help us thrive in the business. So that's how Jobin actually started. So we started out as a tool for ourselves to get our recruitment agency to thrive, and it was working fine. It was working great. We also stopped paying our ATS system because it was unnecessary. We didn't have these enormous amounts of requirements that I don't know. So with the basics, Jobin was more than enough for us, and automating the sourcing and outreach, that was it. And so that's mainly the story that's behind why I started recruitment.
And I know, a lot of people post jobs, and obviously with, it's getting harder to find candidates. I doubt it's ever worked where people, you just put it on a job board and wait for
Exactly.
candidates to show up. That's probably never going to happen, or never did.
Yeah,
Unless you are extremely
that's the dream. Many applicant tracking systems nowadays think that you can just post a job on Indeed, Monster, these big old systems and then candidates pop. They come. Many candidates come, but the problem is that usually, as you often say, it's people that are not ideal for the job, and you waste more time answering and telling these people why they're not the correct type than you would actually sourcing them directly from LinkedIn and understanding and choosing people from yourself. So that's where I think sourcing comes to handy.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, definitely, recruiters have to be a lot more proactive now and really build and nurture their candidate network, and then even find maybe expert communities where they are at, so that, and then of course keeping track or having relationships, so I guess you have the, ATS and CRM sort of slightly tied together. So maybe talk about saving time with sourcing. Maybe you can talk a bit about that.
Okay, so I'll start. You already introduced the situation that we have at the moment, so that's mainly it. The sourcing. So I think the best part to start with is sourcing. So I think one of the most time-consuming activities of recruiters is actually finding the candidates. So find candidates or clients as well. So because many recruitment agencies, myself, had it's more you use more time searching for a client than actually a candidate. So it's always this CRM ATS approach. You usually need both if you're a recruitment agency. So the first part is sourcing. So what I recommend is using LinkedIn. LinkedIn is a great source for candidates or prospects. So and what usually is the tedious the tedious part is copying and pasting things into this ATS. So what a tool should automate is the import. So importing from search lists or importing from other kinds of lists, because you should not focus solely on the LinkedIn search list, but also see more specific types of sources like groups, events, and posts, because you usually find people some kind of in a group, some group of maybe programming, if you're into developers, and you see these people that participate in third group. You quickly import a big list of potential clients and candidates, and then these people, it's good to use to search people following their interests and not only from the search list, because this can also help you start the initial conversation, because you say, hey, I see you're interested in the same things I'm interested in. Why not? Because as you know, messages and this is all, it's very important to be extremely personalized when you send messages, and that's also a point I'm going to discuss. But I was thinking of discussing a little bit further. So what I wanted to point out at the beginning is sourcing. So that's extremely important. Source from posts. See reactions from people. For example, posts that can be of your interest, just in the same things. Sort groups and events. So if you hold an event like this, you
Daniel, looks like we lost your video.
You lost my video?
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, you just disappeared. I
disappeared completely.
Yeah. There, you reconnected. Yeah, you're back.
Okay, perfect. And that was a restart. Strange. Okay, so that's what I was saying. It's extremely important to follow these new places, like groups, events. Dan's internet is a bit weak. Okay. Okay. So that was it. Outreach. When we're talking about outreach, the main thing. Okay. Keeping to the sourcing part that I was missing out on is that it's extremely important to import into your RTS your first connections, because the first connections are your network, people that you already selected in previous you already selected, and these people are extremely important. Okay, did you save my video?
Yeah, I just thought I'd turn off your video just for a moment and see if just hear you, because we can hear you fine, and it's you're breaking up a bit.
Yeah, it was strange. The 30 minutes of very strange. Our green room was perfectly fine. Okay.
Yeah, I know.
Might be some I don't know.
Yeah.
Very strange. Okay. Sometimes that happens. Okay. So what was I saying? Just from
one of the good things you said was to look in groups and stuff. That's actually a great idea, or events, because if you can actually talk to people and really connect with them and show a bit more interest, then you can customize it, especially technical people. They get probably approached so much that, especially on LinkedIn in particular, if it's not customized or hyper customized, you'll probably, they won't respond. So
that's exactly the thing. So what you have to do before you start reaching out to people is knowing them, reading through their CVs, and often this is a job that is very time consuming. So what I would recommend is using LinkedIn searches, groups, then merging it all together in one repository that you can then use to easily sort out people, move them in and out of a pipeline that you use for yourself. And in that way easily follow through the process. So you first screen the people, find them, and when you chose the small group of people you want to reach out to, you're going to send them very personalized messages. And thanks to systems that can also enable reviewing and quickly adding smart pre-filling the data that you usually cut and paste manually, and that's obviously going to help much. So
that kind of the name of the person and the company they work at, and
exactly. So what you're going to do is you're going to add company details, maybe the skills that you're interested in, and all these things automatically. But it's always very important not to mistake too much automation for a good thing. So what you need to do is not only automate the filling and selecting of selecting. So what you need to do is then review these automated these automated messages, because systems like ours are able to then block the process and let you review what you're going to send, add some personalization to it, help them and make your automated campaign look very, very personalized. So that is something that you should look out for when searching for automation tools, and that's important. So
I agree.
As I said, automation. So first of all, you should focus on sourcing parts, sourcing your clients, and then automating. When you start automating, you can both automate through sending connection requests with LinkedIn Helper. It's okay. You're gonna read the message to me when it's a moment. Okay, so I'll continue with the discussion and then So what I was saying is that recruitment, the first part, as we said, is the sourcing, and then when we come out to the outreach part, we can reach out in various ways. So starting from sending messages to your first connection, that is also very important, because you need to nurture your LinkedIn network. So the people, you should not ever think that your LinkedIn connections are a list of contacts that you should not actually know. So what's very important for recruiters and salespeople alike is to nurture these people that you have in your connections. And
So before we get into sort of the outreach and nurturing, maybe Louis asked a good question. Is this a LinkedIn helper?
So, well, what do you mean? What do you mean by LinkedIn helper? Is it you mean a LinkedIn automation tool, or only messaging your first connections or seconds to? Obviously, yes. You can also send a connection request, LinkedIn Inmails for second connections. One great thing that I want to add is that LinkedIn allows many free emails to people that are tagged as open profiles. So one thing that is very useful when you use tools is to filter out all these open profiles, so you can send an unlimited amount of free emails to these people that have selected. These people are also people that are happy to receive emails because they have manually added this to their connection.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, that's also very, very, very useful to follow when you have when you need to reach out to people, knowing that they are open for free LinkedIn emails. So this can be also done when you have a LinkedIn free account. So you do not need recruiter accounts or accounts of any kind.
Or Sales Nav, yeah.
Or Sales Navigator, yes, exactly. So that's also very important to know. So tool like ours is able to send messages, emails, and emails that are extremely important when you try to when you need something to automate your outreach. So it's also important never to forget the emails, because emails are certainly getting weaker and weaker, but they are still extremely important because as you all know, LinkedIn has all own downsides. Its emails are better used for sending a newsletter and talking about what you are actually doing, because things like this are not acceptable in LinkedIn. So
let's then talk about, as you said, the nurturing or the outreach. Because obviously that's so now I guess we have a list of people we want to contact, and you've found ways of maybe depending where you got them from to kind of personalize this to them. So what would you do next, or what should one do next to save time?
So the next thing you should do to save time is So I didn't really get down to the question. It's mainly. Could you ask it again? I had a block in the internet.
Yeah, I mean, a bit of it that you answered earlier was already that. When you're doing the personalization, you can already add some lines that is a bit more customized because you know a bit more information from them based on the groups they belong to, or maybe some posts.
Exactly. You know their groups, their interests, events. Exactly.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
that's also very important, because the more you know about a person, the better you can initiate a relationship with them. And that's actually the concept of any recruiter or marketer. It's extremely important to create a relationship with your candidates. So you can always know if they're in search of a job or if they're actually interested. They might actually be interested in any kind of job offer that is that you are at the moment searching for.
I don't know if you've had experience from this, or what feedback you've had from people sending messages. Like one of the things I've read about is that you don't always actually, when you're looking for people, I don't always send them actually a link to the job post. I used to do that all the time, and I found that actually, at the beginning, I just want to build up a relationship with them and see if they're even open to it, and see if I can tease them. And then if they say, yeah, I'd be open to it, then I send them the job description.
Yeah, that's extremely important as well. Yeah, it's following up with people. That also there's also a very important part in automating your processes, because you usually send your first connection request. You start to introduce yourself and try to initiate this relationship. But then usually there are many that don't actually answer at the first connection request. So what you also need from an automation tool is to have multiple follow-ups after this thing, and that's also extremely important to automate. And yeah, these can also be completely templated and pre-filled, should be personalized. Very important to personalize them. So yeah, that's also a very important part of what you need to be doing when you're trying to automate your recruitment process.
Exactly. I mean, that's certainly the thing I will always do as well, is follow up, because I found that probably when you send 3 or 4 over, I don't know, about a month or so, seems to be the most efficient. After that, the gains are
no, it's
pretty
it's
low.
very important, because there is an enormous amount of people that do not answer on the first message, and it's actually very, very important to send follow up. So if you're not doing it, it's you're losing out on many potential candidates or clients, because it may be that they have not had the time to read it that day, they were busy. So following up is extremely important, and a recommended way of going to things. So yeah, it's also very important to remember that nowadays it's an era of social media and social. So being good at connecting through LinkedIn, and messaging connection and nurturing your network is very important as well, because I've had some reports that cold mailing open rate has run down to 15% and the reply rate to 2%, whereas LinkedIn messages are still very high, as well as the fact that that when you're in a social world, have a different kind of addiction to the notification, to receiving, to answering and replying messages. So it's much easier to get a reply from a LinkedIn message or Inmail than it would be to have a reply on a usual email. That also because Google and various anti-spam filters would risk putting your automated message into a spam list, and that's also why it's very important to automate your LinkedIn activity that is growing in potential, especially for recruiters. So yeah, that's also very important.
Yeah, I guess you want to. Yeah, you don't want to be caught up by LinkedIn if they realize that you're sending like 100 messages in a minute. They go, well, no human can do that.
Exactly. Yes, that's also a very important part of what an automation system does. It has to mimic human behavior and keep your account safe, and that's exactly what our tool does as well. It builds up queues and things to help distribute your load of connection requests and messages in a timely manner, so that it seems that it's actually humanly possible. And it waits random amounts to actually mimic human behavior, and that's very important for the safety of your account. So that's also something always to keep in mind.
And Luis had a good question. Let's say you already had a CRM or ATS already. Would you be able, are you able to integrate Jobin for maybe the bits that the CRM and ATS maybe doesn't do already, but that Jobin does?
Yeah, exactly.
Capturing.
Yes, it would be. Yeah, it would be very easy to integrate, because we have an export system that helps you get all these candidates and clients alike to what you actually need. And you export them in a very used format nowadays. I think almost every ATS system has it. It's a CSV file. So CSV files are very, very easy to integrate with. So it's like you just quickly select the candidates, you filter them out, choose which people you actually want to input into your ATS to then contact them later on. So and you can also send a first connection request with Jobin, and then when they're ready, when they're interested, when they say yes, I'm interested, you would just get them out, filter them, because you would have a message, you would have all a timeline, a messaging timeline. You have what events you have had with this person. I had a meeting with him. I sent him an email, and it's also very important for an automation system to have all this information aggregated in one place. So you just open the CV of this person, and you have all the information you need, notes, tags. So that's also very important. And then filter them out and put them into your own ATS. So.
Yeah. Yeah, Eric had a good question about, what are maybe, key don'ts with LinkedIn automation so that, you don't get caught by LinkedIn. So one of the ones obviously you mentioned was not to send too many messages in a short amount of time.
Yeah, so that is a step that is actually automated. It's to help people keep their account safe. It's not your own worry. It's the system that will automatically filter and put the emails in a queue, emails or connection requests that will be put in a queue and then slowly sent at a pace that would not disturb LinkedIn. And that's one part. I don't for LinkedIn. I think it's more for spam. Don't be spammy. So that's one thing I would not recommend, is being spammy, because many people would say LinkedIn automation equals to spamming. So that is not the case. So it's a bad use of a LinkedIn automation tool when you start spamming. So what you actually need to do is imports and filter and actually study the people that you are interested in connecting to. You add them to small groups of very segmented people, and then these people will receive. You just add them to a campaign and write to them, but in a very, very personalized way. Then review them for a final personalization touch, and you will have an extremely personalized message for each of them without wasting hours of your time. So that is another thing that I would say. So do not spam and randomly click connect to all users in a LinkedIn group or in an event or in a search. So that is something I would not do with a LinkedIn automation tool.
I know that for say somebody who doesn't have maybe Sales Navigator or Recruiter, LinkedIn lately is really restricting the number of views you can have. But what happens if you're using it like to maybe look at a list? Can you then import it, and then that way you can choose? So is that what
yes, you can? So that is also something very important that you can do. You can extract enormous amounts of information from LinkedIn and then bypass all the limits from LinkedIn. For example, LinkedIn limits the quantity of profiles you can view, but by importing them from groups, events, or the search itself, you can bypass this limit and open as many as you like, because you're not actually opening them on LinkedIn. You're only downloading the list and then
any information that was in LinkedIn, is that brought in?
Yes, everything from and it's also emails and contact details will be easily scraped from every possible location source, and it will be put in your contacts bar, so you can then easily access it and easily send connection requests, messages, or simply an email to this person. You can do this through the system itself, or or you can just export it and use it in your own ATS.
I think Debbie will like that, because that can be an issue for some people. So that's good to know.
Yeah.
Any others you can think of what not to do with automation? Or I'm just trying to think of myself, but
that's actually the main thing I would not do is use automation for spamming connection requests or spamming messages and all those sorts of things. So before you do any of these operations, it's of paramount importance to really look into the person that you are about to contact. An automation tool should help you remove the mundane tasks and repetitive tasks, but not the actual job as a recruiter, that is to screen the candidates and to understand if this person is actually fitting for a certain job. So that is a very important thing.
I'll see if we'll ask the audience if maybe they have any other sort of questions or experiences they've had with looking at one thing we talked about, looking at too many profiles, but also if they found a difference between email versus InMail response rates. I guess for myself, my email response is not too bad. It's probably a little bit better than InMail, but I think it really depends on
that's interesting.
Who you're targeting. I guess most of the time, because I'm looking for salespeople, they are usually, they're always not always
they always look
exactly
for their emails.
Yeah,
they always look for the email. That's something. The reports I've read is always that LinkedIn InMails have a better open rate, but that is I think that's also a personal kind of thing. So
yeah,
so that is. But a good automation tool would obviously have both emails and InMails alike. So that's the thing.
The Eric had a really good question. How do you think LinkedIn automation tools will change and develop in the future?
Yeah, that's a good question. So that change in the future. So what we're going to do maybe in the far future, there may be something with AI. AI is getting better from every day. But mainly the thing that I always think is that it's always going to be I think it's a companion for recruitment agencies. It's something that will help reduce tasks. It will always continue in progressing in this sense, not to really take over and be the only source for recruitment, but it will always be something to help do human operations quicker. Because as time passes, people will always want to have more personalized and more human interaction. Maybe videos, maybe having these things, videos, so that's also something that will be more into the new, well, what I think is going to be something new.
Yeah.
So
I was going to say, Louis had a really good comment.
Yeah.
That when in the early days, obviously when we used automation, people didn't know it was automated. It felt quite personal, but a lot of times now people know that there are tools that will allow them to send to a lot of people. I mean, one of the things I've started trying to do now is when I'm approaching or contacting, say, somebody, or say people at the same company, is to actually make the message to each person in that company different, because that chances are they will actually share that message.
Yeah, that's important. Yes.
So I guess one of the things one should try to do is when you're trying to send out your messages is to.
So that's why it's very important to review the message before actually sending. And that is also very important when you have an automation tool, not to send the emails or the messages in bulk without minimum kind of control over it. So it's very important to keep control over the messages you're about to send. So that's very important to have a reviewing system that can help you have a quick view of the profile details and all kinds of information that is then important to you, and to personalize the message as best. Both a message, connection request, and they all need this. So
yeah, no, that sounds good. So I guess we're just trying to figure out what other things we can do to save time. So definitely you mentioned in the sourcing, because you can use LinkedIn.
Exactly. So the most important thing is this.
To get all the profiles and but I really like your idea about looking at comments or events and groups.
Yeah, because that's also a very good place to start searching for people, because it's a very, very small niche of people that are interested in one argument that is very important to look at and look for, and that is it's very important. Also, remember always to nurture your network, your own connections. So one other thing that I want to say again is that it's very, very important to have access to your first connections, and that is also something where automation can help. So having access to your connections, to people that you actually care and take care of these people. So talk to them and know how they're going in their recruitment life, and see if they are actually into searching for new jobs, what their new career are, and this can all be automated, and because doing it manually is mad. You can never do it. So that's very important to automate.
And yeah, for sure. I mean, you know, I think
you cannot
I read
send
somewhere, really humanly, you can only
impossible. Yeah, exactly.
Maybe 300 people is probably the maximum you can sort of really properly stay in touch with.
So an automation tool should help you scale the numbers to something that is actually going to. It's gonna help you scale from 10 to 50 to 100 to 100 people, but not losing any personalization and helping you add the human touch to each of your messages. That's extremely important when you are automating your recruitment process. Then obviously there are the rest of automation that is extremely important, is the rest, the continuum of the pipeline, like automating the movement in different stages when an action occurs. For example, that you have a person that you connect with, and so you set him as an interested, so you can easily filter through them. You easily set him at filtered stage, and you just move him and say sourced, then you move him to a more interested and or higher ready stage, and you just move these people through a pipeline. And pipeline automation is another very important step that automation tools are going to help with, is helping you automate each step of your process. But I think the most important part to start with is automating the sourcing. That is the big part of the funnel. And if you're good at sourcing and automating your outreach, you would have such a bigger amount of potential candidates to or clients to contact that gives you a hand, especially when you're then going to interview them. You can you have a better selection. It's simply put, you simply have a better selection. More people to contact, and more people that can.
And also what you mentioned about the pipeline, I guess it's good if you can visualize a pipeline so that you can see
exactly
where you're at.
That's gonna help you organize, tagging, writing notes about people. This is all fundamental things that are ATS related. But what the problem of usually of normal ATS is that they do not have the data. So what we actually need in recruitment is that we need something that will aggregate both the automated part, that is downloading and having all this data that we actually need, and then messaging with people, sending follow-ups, sourcing, sending follow-ups, sending connection requests to first connections, second connections, Inmails, emails, having a cross drip campaign that will help you integrate in. So it will help you follow up with people on different channels. That's also very important to note, because it's many users, for example, many developers would not answer on, say, LinkedIn, and maybe would answer on email or would answer on a dedicated channel of theirs. So having the possibility of integrating multiple channels would also be very important. So that is another very important part. But yeah, that's mainly it. It's how to save time when you automate your recruitment process. And I think the two key points that we all have to focus on are helping ourselves automate the messages with templates and follow-ups, and then easily importing this data into your ATS. That will get all the time that
okay.
is spent.
So just to make sure that everybody has some takeaways from today, would you have 3 or 4 takeaways? Maybe you can.
So the first thing I'd advise everyone is to start checking out automation tools and seeing if and how you can integrate them into your current recruitment process. So that's one very important step that I would recommend doing. Then capitalize all your existing network by downloading the first connections, and then organizing them, filtering through people that are actually related to the jobs that you are interested in, or past job specs, maybe creating talent pools for future jobs. and then look into this new way of sourcing, that is groups, events, and posts. So these are this is another very important takeaway that I would like to get out of this discussion. And then lastly, you need to automate. It's very, very important to automate your outreach, because the numbers otherwise wouldn't, you cannot scale. You can't scale when you can send only a couple messages during a day. And that's also important. You need to automate your outreach, your first message, your first connection request, and then automate the follow-ups if this person does not actually answer, because many times the first message, the first connection request is not the one that is going to get you the candidate or client. So what you need to do is add some follow-up messages, and then remember never to lose the personalization part, because people like to have a human touch in their messages. So remember that when you have this, when you're writing your emails, you would like to have a last phase of reviewing before actually sending this message to a given person. So that is my 4 takeaways that I want to get people to think about when leaving this call.
Yeah, no, thank you very much for that. And certainly, I think one really good thing that's probably come out of here is I've also that LinkedIn groups have always been like a long time ago. They seem to be quite good, and people are interacting in them a lot more. So so there is harder, but certainly I never thought of, because of the volume, is to actually also look at events and posts. So I guess when you're targeting people, to actually look a bit closer at the events maybe they've been at, or posts, because that will give you a lot of information on how to customize stuff. So thank you, Daniel. Thank you for your time today.
Thank you.
So just for next week, next Wednesday, we have Rob Dog and Sarah Wilder as Debbie's guests, and talking about navigating the D&I chasm with data analytics. So hopefully we'll see you in a week's time. Hope you've enjoyed the shows and the show today, and had some good takeaways. And thank you, everybody, for joining us today. Enjoy the rest of your lunch.
Thanks so much.
All right, okay. And I don't know if I can bring you back on video just for a moment. Oh, no, that's me going off. There we go. There you're back.
There we are.
For a moment. So, all right. Thank you again, Daniel. And
okay.
Have a good day.
Yeah,
Bye-bye.
You too. Have a good day, and everyone. Bye.